There once lived a powerful king who ruled over a wealthy and flourishing kingdom. His palace was filled with luxuries. His throne was decorated with gold, and his subjects admired him as a ruler who had everything. Yet, despite his power and treasures, there was one thing he had never done. He had never journeyed beyond the comforts of his royal palace. One day, the king decided that it was time to see his kingdom with his own eyes. "I have ruled this land for years, but I know little of the lives of my people," he declared. And so, he set out with his guards and attendants to travel through the distant corners of his realm. At first, the king was filled with excitement. He admired the green fields, the rivers, and the villages where children played and farmers worked. But soon, the journey became difficult. The further he traveled, the rougher the roads grew. The paths were uneven, littered with sharp stones and scorching under the sun. His feet, unused to hardship, began to ache terribly. By the time the king returned to his palace, his feet were swollen, blistered, and sore. He collapsed onto his throne, furious. "How can this be?" he shouted. "The land I rule is full of riches, yet the very roads I walk upon cause me pain. From this day forth, no one in my kingdom shall suffer as I have. Cover every road, every path, every street in my land with leather, so that none shall feel the roughness beneath their feet." The court gasped, the ministers and servants bowed, but their hearts sank. They knew such a task would be impossible. To cover all the roads in the vast kingdom would require thousands upon thousands of cowhides. Entire herds would have to be slaughtered. The treasury would be emptied. The land itself would be stripped bare, all to satisfy one man's comfort. At last, one wise servant, trembling with both fear and courage, stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he began softly, "may I speak?" The king, still fuming, glared at him. "Speak quickly." The servant bowed deeply and said, "Why trouble the kingdom with such a costly command? Why slaughter countless animals and waste the wealth of your people? Instead of covering every road with leather, why not take just a small piece, enough to cover your feet alone?" The king stared in silence. The idea was so simple, so small, and yet so powerful. He had been so consumed by his pain and his authority that he had sought to change the entire world to suit himself, when all along the answer was to change only what was within his reach. Moved by the wisdom of his servant, the king agreed. That very day, he ordered a pair of shoes to be made, the first he had ever worn. And when he placed them on his feet, he could walk freely without pain, no matter how rough or stony the road. The lesson humbled him, and from that day onward, he ruled with greater wisdom, remembering that sometimes the smallest change in ourselves can bring the greatest comfort. We often wish the world around us would change to make life easier, smoother roads, kinder people, fewer obstacles. But the truth is, the world will never fully bend to our desires. There will always be rough roads, difficult people, and challenges that test us. If we waste our energy trying to change everything outside us, we will exhaust ourselves and achieve nothing. Instead, like the king who learned to cover his feet rather than his entire kingdom, we must learn to change ourselves, our mindset, our attitude, and our approach. True happiness and peace do not come from controlling the world, but from mastering ourselves. When we change our hearts, cultivate patience, and strengthen our character, the world no longer feels so harsh. Rough roads become bearable, heavy burdens become lighter, and life itself becomes a journey we can walk with courage. The lesson is simple yet powerful. Do not try to change the world to fit you. Change yourself to walk through the world.